Very cool. And we are live. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this Friday, July the 15th, 2022. Wow. I mean, the years are going by. Things are happening on the planet. Things are happening. Biblical events are taking place. The question is, are people paying attention to it? Are people just going day to day, marrying, drinking, having fun, just doing whatever, ignoring what's actually happening? It makes me wonder. Now, I look at all this stuff and I pay attention to all this stuff, and I'll be honest with you, it has taken a toll. It really has. But I know the reason why I'm doing this. And I'm not doing this to make Will Johnson look good, because Will Johnson messes up all the time. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with what God's will is, what God wants for all of us. That's what it really comes down to. That's what it's all about. That's what this life is about. Pleasing our Father in heaven. And we're in the thick of it. We're in the thick of it. Things are speeding up so much. I'm going to share some stuff with you tonight that completely makes things connect to what we're seeing in our day and age on a biblical scale. Now, some people refuse to make the connection. Some people refuse to see it. And I get it. I would like to go like this too. Like, I don't want to hear about it. Don't tell me about it. Let me stay in my world. Let me stay in my bubble. Right? I get it. There's a lot of people that want to do that. Well, I can't do that. I can't do that. Knowing that if I see something, I'm going to say something. And when I talk about these things, when I talk about the different events, and I talk about what people are doing, and when I talk about the evilness that we're seeing in this world, I'm not talking about it to be hateful. And some people say that I'm being hateful towards a group of people, and that's not even the case. That's not even true at all. You may feel that way, but your feelings, just because you feel something, is irrelevant to reality. People can feel something all they want. So Joe Brandon, yes, Joe Brandon, he goes overseas, and let me paint a picture for you that's tuning in right now, and for those that are watching this later. You remember when President Trump was going around the world? And he went to Saudi Arabia, he went to Israel, he went to other nations, he went to North Korea. You remember President Trump was going around the world, and every place that President Trump went, he went to India. Every single place President Trump went to, what do you think they did? They welcomed him with open arms. They welcomed him with open arms. And President Trump was doing so many positive things around the planet. This is my viewpoint on it. I truly believe that the Antichrist is alive today. And you don't have to agree with me, and that's fine. But I believe that the Antichrist is alive today, and the Antichrist and the other elitist world liberal world orderists, the orders, those who believe in the liberal world order, they saw what President Trump was doing. Because let me remind you about something. When President Trump was at the UN, and he told them at the UN that the United States of America will always be a sovereign nation, and we will never go to socialism. We will never go the route of communism. President Trump couldn't leave the building before Nancy Pelosi went in front of the television and said, okay, now we've had enough. We're going to impeach him. A lot of people had never made that connection, and you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people that still don't even know that today. Go look it up. President Trump could not leave the building before the first time. This was the first time, not the second time they impeached him in the House, but the first time. They said, okay, we can't do it anymore because she got the orders sent down to impeach him. And that's what happened. Y'all remember that? Do y'all remember? I remember it because I was sitting there watching, I was looking at him and said, man, again, another phenomenal speech President Trump did at the UN. And then not even minutes later, Nancy Pelosi's, okay, we're going to impeach him. Because President Trump was doing so many things around the world. This is biblical. I'm telling you, listen to what I'm telling you. And it's because I see the writing on the wall. I saw it play out. And y'all know it. President Trump was nominated for 7 Nobel Peace Prizes for his work around the world. The Antichrist does not like that because, see, President Trump was including God. President Trump was including God in his administration. Joe Biden doesn't. President Trump was. And the Antichrist can't have that because President Trump was doing positive things. I'm going to show you. President Trump was doing positive things. Y'all all know it to be true. That's not something that I'm making up. You know it to be true. Now, there's some people that maybe some trolls on here already. The trolls, they want to deny it, and I get it. You don't want to see anything positive that President Trump did. The trolls, the leftists, they all said anybody but Trump. The Antichrist could have came on the scene and said, well, I'm going to run for president. And he didn't even have to be a U.S. citizen. And the Democrats, the leftists, the communist, socialist, evil people in our country would have said yes to the Antichrist because they would say anybody but Trump. Anybody but Trump. They would have said yes to the Antichrist. See, President Trump did so many positive things. They were naming locations in Israel after President Trump. Do you understand what I'm telling you? They were naming locations. The Israeli nations overseas, they were welcoming President Trump with open arms. They respected President Trump. President Trump asked for something, they gave it to him. No hesitation, nothing. President Trump said, do XYZ, they did it. They didn't even debate about it. They said, okay, let's just do it. And because he wasn't acting all crazy, because they respected the United States of America. They're not doing that today. They're not doing that today. Joe Brandon went overseas basically begging again for oil. He went to Saudi Arabia, apparently begging for oil to the same guy that he called a pariah for supposedly or allegedly taking the life of a reporter. But then he goes over there trying to act like we're all chummy because he's over there groveling. We need your oil. We need your oil because I crushed America. So we need your oil because it's all about the liberal world order. Look at this. This is President. Almost said that. This is what Biden going overseas and doing the fist bump. And then they just kind of like chalk it up like, oh, why everyone getting all, worked up about a fist bump? If President Trump went over there and gave the person a fist bump to where they said that allegedly took the life of an American reporter, they would be, oh my goodness, they would say, oh my goodness, see, President Trump doesn't care about the media. They would say everything negative. But in this case, they kind of like give it a pass. Like it's okay.
How does the handle this meeting? And, it's been like a process for him to get to this point.
Yes, Jose, I think all the hyperventilation about whether it would be a fist bump or a handshake or a smile or no smile is kind of silly. I mean,
you hear this? Oh, it's kind of silly. Bunch of hypocrites. Me personally, I can care less how he touched the man. Fist bump, elbow bump, shake his hand, hug him, kiss him, get on his feet, kiss the ring, whatever. I can care less, to be honest with you. The point here is that they're a bunch of hypocrites. Because if President Trump gave a simple fist bump like this, they would go berserk. After they said, because they talk about the guy allegedly taking out the reporter.
Nations have interests, and the president is trying to represent the interests of the U.S. I did indeed meet Mohammed bin Salman in 2015 in Riyadh, and in very classic Saudi fashion, the meeting was scheduled for 10 a.m. and I met him at 10 minutes to midnight that night. So he's a
okay, and no one cares. You know what? Let me show you to this next clip. I have a local channel. Do y'all know what that is? Is anybody familiar with that is? I have a local channel, and not too many people know what it is, but a lot of people do. If you go to my website, uniteamericafirst.com, and click on Connect with Will, you can find my locals. I have a video that I exclusively have on locals. I can't put it on other platforms because they'll penalize me for the video that I have on locals. And it refers to the next couple videos that I'm getting ready to play for you, because these things are happening in the world. Biblical events are happening in the world. And the video that I have on locals, I put that video maybe 6 months ago, but it's a video that I talk about from the Left Behind series. There's one particular part in the movies where the Antichrist is going around, he's walking around the table, and he's convincing all of the people that they need to come together to combat the food crisis. You can't make this stuff up. See, the makers of the Left Behind series, they studied, right? Now, there's some stuff that I question about the Left Behind series, but that's not what this is about. It's about what is happening today. The Antichrist is going to use this scenario because things are getting bad on the planet. There's a food crisis coming, and they're even admitting it. These nations are coming together on the world scene, and they're telling people that the food crisis is a real thing, and they're trying to combat it. I did that video, I'm telling you, I think I did about 6 months ago. You have to go to my locals and you have to check it out. Listen to what they say here. Listen to what they say here in this meeting that they had, because it all ties in together with our world, and what is happening today is prophetic. It is happening, people. Listen.
The entire world is dealing with issues relating to food security. The combination of the climate crisis, the war in Europe, and the COVID-19 pandemic has created global food insecurity. Food security is going to be the main issue in Africa, in Latin America, and East Asia, and of course in the Middle East. An initiative like the food corridor between India and the UAE, which was put together by this group, is a clear example of a creative solution to a problem we are all facing. The fast transportation of food and preservation technologies, the ability to connect relative advantages together, this is the solution to the problem. Since the war in Ukraine broke out, each one of us has had to deal with the crisis on the local level. Its effects on cost of living has been immediate and dramatic, and of course, this has political implications.
Let me stop it there. Now, have y'all heard about the Great Reset? Has anyone heard about that? The World Economic Forum? Has anyone heard of that? Not only is it happening in Israel, but it's happening in Iran, it's happening in Russia, it's happening in Ukraine, it's happening in Europe, it's happening in Japan, it's happening in China. What is happening, what he is talking about, is happening all over the planet. And before the Antichrist steps out onto the scene and fixes everything, everything has to be in total disarray. Do you understand what I'm telling you? It's not going to be like all rays and sunshine, because the Antichrist needs to come in and act like he's fixing everything. This liberal world order is the world order of the Antichrist. 100%. Hands down.
Real solutions will only come through cooperation between countries that know how to put together brainpower, knowledge, and resources on the same table. I would like to emphasize, this is not a philanthropic group. We want to change the world for the better, but we are also creating relative advantages for our countries, for our businesses, for our science sector.
This is so biblical. You know what? And I'll be the first one. I'll be the first one. Please, I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. But this is so biblical. This is the liberal world order they're talking about. Even Joe Biden put his 2 cents into all of this, and it's about the food crisis. I'm going to tell y'all one more time on my locals that I have not put any place else. I put this on my locals channel. If you go to my website, uniteamericafirst.com, click on Connect with Will and click on Locals. You can sign up as a member and check it out. It is prophetic. I mean, I can't tell you enough. It's talking about this, and it talks about how the Antichrist is going to use the food crisis in the world. You can't make this up. And this was months ago when I put the video there. The movie was made years ago, around almost 20 years to my understanding. The Antichrist is going to use the food crisis. You can't make this stuff up. I'm not the one making this happen. Listen to what Joe Biden said about the food crisis as well, because I don't know if y'all knew about this, but last year, before we got to this summer, there were locusts on a biblical scale tearing up the crops, the cornfields, the farmland in Africa. They said it was going to hit the nation on a biblical scale and cause famine like never seen before in the history of man. And now on top of this, we have all of the other stuff that's happening. They're taking advantage of it. Listen to this.
Our nations represent some of the most innovative, technologically capable, and entrepreneurial people on the planet. At every step, we should be asking, what can we achieve together? The first two projects that we're tackling together on food security and clean energy are designed to take on two of the most urgent crises affecting people around the globe. Food insecurity. The UAE's investment to...
Let me stop it there. Food and security. Food and security. How do you think they're going to solve the security problem? As of right now, as of today, the FDA has approved, and I'm not saying that this is it, but it lines up to a T. As of today, the FDA has approved human consumption of the RFID chip. As of today, they can use that. Let me just give you a little, because some people go, oh. I did IT for 20 plus years. I've seen the technology they can use to make this happen. The data mining that happens. They want to know every transaction. They want to know every location that you have been in, every location that you possibly will go to. They want to know your patterns. They want to know your eating patterns. They want to know your sleeping patterns. They want to know every single aspect of your life. Every single bit. They can achieve that with this RFID chip. A lot of people don't like to hear that, and a lot of people don't know that, but they can achieve it with that. They can, because it's data mining. That's one of the most lucrative things on the planet today. Data mining. Because they can use that data to target people.
Develop integrated agricultural parks across India with the support of the American and Israeli private sector experts has the potential to sustainably increase India's food yields in the region threefold in just 5 years. India is a major food producer in the world.
Yes, India is a major food producer in the world. But India is having issues too. That's why they're all trying to come together right now to try to so-called resolve this issue. And like I mentioned to y'all, this is not just happening in the United States of America. The recession at 9.1%, and he's overseas trying to bring this liberal world order together. When we're having major issues in the United States of America, President Trump was America first. They are America last. They don't have any issues telling you they are America last. Yes, they are. But like I said, this is not only happening in America. Our southern border is going to cause more of an issue. The southern border, we're being invaded on our southern border. It's going to cause more of an issue. We have our food crisis. And I told people that baby formula, that is the canary in the coal mine. Seriously. And the canary's not breathing anymore. It's about to get really bad. And again, I want to be wrong. You can send me all the messages you want. Will, you're wrong. You're wrong. I want to be wrong. I truly do. Jesus. I truly do. But I see what's happening. It's so bad right now. And a lot of people don't even know. Over in other countries, They're protesting right now because of the crisis, the food crisis, and they're not talking about it here. They're talking about something that happened in 2021, like it's really important. We got to do this. Or they're here in America, they're out protesting because they want to take the life of more children, but they don't want to talk about what's happening on the planet. It is exploding right now, people. I played videos showing how in the Netherlands, even in Italy, how people are out in the streets protesting because they're running out of food. Even in China. This is today. This was reported today. Even in China, people in China, they lost access to their bank accounts. Do you think all this is just by chance? People can't buy food. It is getting desperate on the planet. And again, all this is geared so the Antichrist can come in and fix it all. It's going to get worse than what it currently is.
In June, he says they protested outside the local government building for 5 days straight. Brian traveled back to Henan in July, joining a large-scale peaceful protest. Police violently quashed the protesters. Videos show security officers dragging protesters down the stairs, beating anyone who resisted, including women and the elderly, according to witnesses.
This is happening all over the planet. It's not just the United States of America. And see, we're civil, and I'm not saying that they're not civil either, but we're like I'm just gonna put it like this: the United States of America, the people, all of us in America, it's like we're pots, we're like frogs in a pot, a boiling pot, and things are hot. I think everyone agree right now that's watching this right now. I think everyone agree that things are hot right now, and it's getting hotter. But we're not doing like the rest of these countries are on the planet. We're not doing it. You know why? Because we still think that everything is fine for the most part. Interest rate at 9.1% as of what, yesterday? Day before yesterday, 9.1%. And we see that inflation rate here in the United States of America, I think it's a new record high since 43 years. What do you think that's going to do to the shelves? What do you think that's going to do at the gas pump? That whole federal federal tax that they removed for the gas and supposedly took away 30 cents. That's about and they said, oh, the past 30 days, it really helped out. And all it did was went down maybe 30 cents in some places. But it was still painful. The gas was still already ridiculously high. All it did was put not even a Band-Aid. It put half the Band-Aid. They cut the Band-Aid in half and they put it on a gaping hole this big. And the Band-Aid's smaller than my thumb and it's this big. And they say, oh, look what we did. And people's like, oh, hey, let's just trying to do something. They caused the problem. They caused it. We are headed for what the Bible said. We're headed for biblical times. We are the generation that's seen it. And the Bible says the generation that see Israel become a nation shall not pass. Is Israel a nation? Yes or no? It's really a simple question, and it's not even a trick question. We're seeing it happen. People, we can't ignore it. Some people want to ignore it, and I get it. They just don't want to, like, you know what? Don't tell me the meteorite's coming. Just let it just crash, and I'll just be whatever. I say something not to get you scared. And if you're having fear right now, you need to break down and say, Lord, take this fear away from me. Lean on Christ. I'm not saying this to get people fearful. I'm saying this so you can get your mind and your soul right. Start having conversations with God. Start talking to God. You don't need to do it in a special way either. You don't. Just have the conversation with God and then listen. Talk to him and listen. God is more real than we are. We just can't comprehend it. Talk to him. Talk to him. I saw this video last year before the summer got here. And they were talking in the video how locusts destroyed so many crops, and not just in Africa, but they also affected crops in Australia. And now the world is having this food crisis. Was happening in Ukraine and Russia. They're using that because Ukraine is one of the largest producers of corn, to my understanding, wheat, corn in the world. They produce so much. Russia produced a lot of manure that other nations need to produce their crops. And that manure, because these nations have been blocking Russia from selling the manure to them, they've been suffering. It's causing problems on a biblical scale. If I'm correct in what I am seeing, this time next year, we might not even recognize the United States of America. And Lord Jesus, I want to be wrong. I'm not calling for that. I want us to fight. I want us to get through this. And I'm not talking about fighting and being hurtful to people. I want us to peacefully do this together, because we can do it peacefully. It can be done. And someone to sit there and think that it can't be done peacefully, then you have not been paying attention to the teaching of Christ. Seriously, you can get mad at me about that, but I'm going to lean on my God, Jesus Christ, as much as possible through this dark times, through this incredible times that we're living in. It's so bad that you even have God. He have sent these people a great delusion. These people truly believe that taking the life of a child is a good thing. They're directing people to believe it. And then when they have crisis, they use children, just like on the southern border. They use children on our southern border to tug on the heart of people. Just like communists have done in the past, they use children because we don't want this bad stuff happening to children. But when it comes to children in the schools, they're okay with sexualizing children then. They're okay with wanting to groom children when it comes to that. But when it comes to the southern border, they try to act like they're for children, but they're not. Just like the little girl that was brutally butchered by this 27-year-old man, which they conveniently left it out because he's an illegal alien that should have never been here in the first place. And they did that to try to make people look like they didn't know what they're talking about, and they found the case. But I can tell you this much. You can go anywhere on the southern border and find the case of a 10-year-old girl getting raped. It's not difficult to find at all. At all. It's not, because it's happening at an alarming rate. And the reason why it's happening, because the left is pushing it to happen. Or they would try to shut down the border, just like President Trump did. President Trump was stopping all of it from happening here in America. Not all of it, but he was stopping it. They said it was 90% of the human trafficking had come to a screeching halt with President Trump. Under Biden, we've been invaded like never before. And they don't even know half the people that are coming into the country. They really don't. They really don't. Let me play something for you here. This was on the Communist News Network, where they're talking about the 10-year-old girl, but they can care less about the little girl being raped. They just want to make sure that everybody that is pregnant can have an abortion. And they're pushing this idea as if every woman that is getting pregnant, they're pushing the idea that every woman has been raped. What's the percentage of the rape cases?
Some Republicans and right-wing media questioned whether this little child even existed. Here some of them are.
So, Dave, have you had anybody come to you in your state to say we're looking into this? A police report was filed?
Not a whisper. I know our prosecutors and cops in this state. There's not one of them that wouldn't be turning over every rock in their jurisdiction if they had the slightest hint that this had occurred.
Tweeted that it was a lie that this 10-year-old had to go
I was
across
commenting on a news story. Yeah, the real issue is this is a heinous crime by an illegal immigrant, and I hope he is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Do you regret saying it's a lie, though?
And see, that's right there. When the information came out where Joe Brandon was saying it, no one had reported it. They couldn't find anything on it. They kept looking. And like I mentioned, you can go right now on the border and find a 10-year-old girl that's been raped by one of these monsters. You can find it anywhere. And I said, when Joe Brandon first came out with it, I said, I question it. Because it was like, what? All of a sudden they come out with this story, but they're not talking about the rapist. And they didn't talk about the rapist because he's illegal. And they're still not talking about the rapist.
Why did the Biden administration, speaking of lying, just repeat a story about a 10-year-old child who got pregnant and then got an abortion or was not allowed to get an abortion when it turns out the story was not true?
It's amazing. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. Sometimes you look at things like that, you say, how are we living in a world where people can say those things and then just with impunity not even say, I made a mistake or whatever?
You hear this? She said, how can they do this with impunity and not even say that we made a mistake? What did they say with Rittenhouse? Did they ever say they made a mistake? What did they say with the I can't remember the young men that were at the White House, not the White House, but they were in D.C. and they had on the red hat. What is it? And he stand in front of the Indian. I can't remember the name of the school. What did they say about that? Nothing. What did they say? Every single time they come up and they pretty much make every single person out to be a lie. They call people white supremacists left and right, and they do it with impunity. Do it with impunity.
Whatever they could possibly have said. I mean, obviously, all those things were false, every one of them. What was Dr. Bernard's reaction to all of this? To all of this going on out there?
What was the school that we're going to?
In that room with that little girl.
Well,
you remember?
The part here that is so remarkable from our point of view is that Republicans want to pretend there is no 10-year-old rape victim. They want to pretend that Dr. Bernard made the whole story up because this case shows in full color the harm that is caused by abortion bans. The outright abortion ban in Ohio is why that child had to travel to another state to get necessary medical care.
Okay, so can we say no to the rest of it then, right? Let's just all agree that, hey, a heinous crime of rape, then we can say no to that, right? Can we say no to that? But they don't want to say just no to that. They want to say no to all of it. His name was Nick. What, Nick Sandman? Nick Sandman. Y'all remember that? Yeah, the Covington High School. Remember that? He ended up suing CNN because they were out there saying all this stuff that was completely false and they were doing it with impunity, right? And they called lying on the Communist News Network and all the liberal media. When they lie, you know what they call it? They call it freedom of speech. They literally are free. They call it freedom of speech and they call it freedom of the press. That's what they call it when they get caught. Well, today, Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats in the House, and actually it looked like, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2 or 3 Republicans sided with these. Oh, well, you have Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney's in the Senate. You have Liz Cheney, Adam Kissinger. I think that was the 2. Maybe there's the other one. But in the House, they pass it to where it looked like they can take the life of a child after the child has reached birth. You can't tell me that this is not part of the last days. Now, if granted, they were killing babies and killing people in the past, but my goodness, they're trying to say it's a good thing. It's a great thing. And then they even try to say God wants it. These people are completely sick. Listen to this report from Fox News as they talk about what happened today.
Okay, pressure is mounting on the Biden administration to go now further on abortion rights. You've heard the president talking about it this week. House Democrats are now pushing the president to declare a public health emergency where abortion is concerned. They claim the U.S. Supreme Court's Roe reversal creates a full-scale reproductive health crisis, and they are looking for federal government intervention. The White House and President Biden have said, yeah, they're going to consider that. Congresswoman?
Yes, House Democrats are putting on the floor the most radical abortion on demand paid for by the taxpayers up until and after birth just this week. I will tell you that goes much further than codifying Roe, which is the talking point they use. As the American people learn more and more about this legislation, it is truly radical. 80% of the American people oppose late-term abortions, yet this bill, as I said, provides taxpayer funding and legalizes abortion nationally up until and after birth in terms of babies that are born alive, particularly those premature babies. House Republicans, we are proud to stand for life. We are proud to stand in opposition to any taxpayer dollars going towards funding abortion. We will oppose this bill, and the Democratic Party has shifted. It was not so long ago that the Democrats' own platform was abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. How much that has changed to on-demand, paid for by the taxpayers up until birth.
So, Congresswoman, has there always been up until and after birth, and you described what that would be like, and that is heartbreaking. I don't know if, and that may be why you can't even get Democrat women to agree to get to that point.
You know what? Y'all remember, was Ralph Nader? Ralph Nader out of Virginia? You know, I'm terrible with names, right? Remember he said, take the baby, wrap it in a blanket, put it on the table, make sure it's comfortable, let it scream itself to death, literally. Y'all remember that? And then the Democrats try to act like that's not even a thing. Even in New York, they agreed to doing that. Killing the baby after it's born. This is nothing but demonic evilness on the planet. And it's not just happening here in America, it's happening everywhere.
Right, which is probably why they didn't codify it when Obama was in office, when they had majorities.
We have the Born Alive Protection Bill, which House Republicans are proud to support. We've passed that in a House Republican majority, and that is standing for life. Born alive babies, they deserve the right to life. There is a reason life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that life comes first. We saw the Democrat governor in Virginia shamefully talk about a baby, holding that baby comfortable before killing that child. That is not where the American people are. That's what I mean when I say up until and after birth. We stand for life. We are proud to stand for life, and we will oppose this very radical anti-life agenda that we're seeing from House Democrats pushing on the floor. And as we look around the globe, Harris, that puts us on the level with North Korea and China. You know, European countries have limits in terms of late-term abortion. What Democrats are proposing puts us on the level with North Korea and China. I certainly don't want to be in that group of countries when it comes to our position.
Yes, it's like we're competing with China. It's like the Democrats are competing with China on how many they can take. Okay, let me just get to this next clip, because this one is somewhat have a little length to it. And there's even an article on my website about this. This is insane. Now, I just played the video where they have even talked about taking the life of the child after birth. Right? That's the left. They're going full out. They're not going to just stop it like, you know, okay, well, if it happens to women that are incest, you know, or rape, they're not just stopping there. They're saying that if the mother decides to, you know, to have the child, they have the child, and the mother go, oh, but you know what? This is just really going to crush my career. This is just going to really put a burden on my life. Or they say, well, you know, the planet's already overpopulated. Or they'll go, I live in poverty. Disregard it. This is nothing but demonic evilness. Have y'all seen this one? And I just played the video where they just prove that they're all about taking the life of the child after it's born. Listen to this representative as he's talking to these total demonic democrats about the life of a child. And let's just listen.
I assume you agree with infanticide, the killing of a child, a perfectly healthy child at birth?
I don't accept the basis of that question, but
Pardon me?
I do believe abortion is health care.
I'm talking about, do you agree? I know, I get that, but do you agree? I mean, do you support infanticide, killing a child after he's born?
I do not agree with the basis of that question,
What's
but
the
I
basis?
do believe that abortion is health care.
Okay, so I'll take that as a yes, you do agree with infanticide. Mrs. Shannon, do you agree with infanticide?
Well, I think you're using inflammatory language to basically describe a situation that does not happen. We don't have infanticide happening. Doctors would not do that, and neither would folks who have carried pregnancies.
Okay, would a healthy child, do you agree if a healthy child is born?
Did y'all hear what she said? Let me take, I'm sorry, I got to take it back a little bit here. Listen to that. I meant to stop it right when she said it. Listen to this.
Doctors would not do that, and neither would folks who have carried pregnancies.
Okay, would a healthy child, do you agree if a healthy child is born, that is that woman's right to decide if it lives or dies?
What I think is, based on your question, you have a very low opinion of pregnant people.
Pregnant people. He just said a woman, and then she comes out and said pregnant people. Only women can get pregnant. See, this is how you know you're dealing with dishonest people. Literally dishonest people, unstable people, people with mental issues. When they can't even acknowledge women are the only creatures on the planet that can have a child. Literally. It's like that in the animal kingdom too. Listen.
Because if you think that anybody would carry...
Answer the question.
Excuse me.
Answer the question.
I'm answering it. Do you
No,
want
you're not.
You want
I
to
will
answer
take
it,
it
or
that
you
you
want to keep
agree.
talking over witnesses? What I'm telling you is nobody would carry a pregnancy and then decide on a Monday because they are bored that they want to have an abortion. That's ridiculous. And it's inflammatory. What you're saying, you're talking about families who are in tough situations where folks have been excited about carrying a pregnancy. Most of the abortions that happen later in pregnancy are really tragedies where it's really a disappointment for everyone involved.
But you agree with, I take it with all those words, you do agree with basically murdering a child after they're born.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I mean, you can ask me the question. Yes. If that was the case, they wouldn't even put it in the legislation, but it's in there. It's in there. It passed in the House. This is like, it makes me think about the Mayans, right? Remember, have you ever heard this story? The Mayans, they would do these human sacrifices of babies to a false god, and they would do it trying to get the rain to come, and rain would never come, and they were constantly doing it, constantly killing people, and they were butchering people. But I told people my reason why they want to abort these children so much. And if you're interested, I'll tell it again. Some people got upset with me by the story because a lot of people don't know what the Bible says. They skip over stuff. It's really amazing to me how they skip over certain things. But like, oh, but I'm gonna go with this part here. But listen to the rest of this.
Ms. Graves, could you answer that? Would you just yes or no?
I have to say, Congressman, how you just characterize the representative's statement is extremely inflammatory and the type of thing that it's dangerous.
How is it dangerous? How is it inflammatory? Please, someone explain it. He's talking about the truth. Only women can have children. And also, they put it in the daggum legislation in the bill that they can abort children up to birth or even after birth. Abort the child. It's there. So they're literally lying. These are dishonest women on here. They're straight up dishonest. This is what we're dealing with today. And people listening to this dishonest stuff because we're living in a time where these people have been turned over to a reprobate mind. According to the Bible, if you don't know what that is, look it up. A reprobate mind. That's exactly what these people are. And she's trying to make it like he's being violent. That's what this is really about. This line of questioning is violent. I'm telling you, that's exactly how they think.
And what
you guys have been talking today about the threats against crisis pregnancy centers, which I assume are serious and are terrible. The threats that people who work on abortion access take every single day.
I'm assuming that you're for infanticide. I would also say that her language of health.
Madam Chair,
okay.
Gentleman's time. Congressman, ask the question.
He's
reclaiming his time.
I would say this: it's inflammatory when she says health care, abortion is healthy. I'm not. Hold on. I'm not giving. I'm not sharing
abortion.
reclaiming my.
You see how they're constantly cutting them off. You see that they're constantly cutting them off. And every time I've seen a billboard, maybe there's been other billboards, but every time I've seen a billboard, it's with black women on there, and it's telling black women that abortion is good health care or abortion is health care. And you see women just walking around with a sign, abortion is health. There's literally saying murdering the child is good health care. That's literally what it's saying. What does abortion mean? Abort the child. Abort, abort, abort. Right? If you're getting ready to go, you're on an airplane, and you're getting ready to drop some bombs into an area, and the commander comes in, he says, abort, 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 mean don't do it. But in this case, they're aborting the child, aborting the life of a child. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up. And they say that murdering a child is good health care. They literally have their minds fixed that way.
My time. Now, this being said, do the three of y'all favor doing away with the laws that's on the books? If a mother is carrying a child and is shot, is that murder? Is that homicide? Or should that?
Now they're gonna have act like, well, I have no idea what you're talking about. What does that even mean? I have no idea. Listen, see, this is how you know you're dealing with dishonest people, or people that won't even acknowledge the reality of it. Listen,
that be abolished too.
And I don't even what law?
Homicide for who?
If a mother is carrying a child and gets murdered, they're charged now in most every state that I know of double homicide. They kill the mother and they kill the child. Is that right? Do you favor that, or do you want to abolish that?
Well, I'll go first. I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm asking Ms. Grace first.
I have no
She's
idea
a lawyer.
I am, and I used to think I was a good one, but I have no idea what law you're talking about. But what?
How do you not know? That's been like common knowledge for years. How do you not know? Again, this confirms that he is talking to dishonest people. Literally dishonest people. For her to come on there and make that statement is right there. She's on her lying. That lets you know right there. Anybody who has rational thinking, anyone who's still thinking with in the realm of reality, know that she's not being honest.
Do you understand that if a mother is carrying a child and gets shot, it happened in Charlotte, North Carolina, where a mother was carrying a child. Hold on, a mother and was carrying a child. When she was killed, she was charged with double homicide, killing two people. Should that be abolished or not?
One of the most dangerous times is being
You're not going to
pregnant,
answer the
and
question.
that is in part
You're not going to answer
because
the
of the
question.
sort of violence
Look,
that pregnant people
I've got 53
sometimes
seconds. Let me just.
She's saying that being pregnant is violent. I mean, did y'all hear that too? Did y'all hear that too? She literally said that, and he's talking, but I mean, maybe I misheard it. She's literally saying being pregnant is violent. Now, it can, when the birth is happening, I guess you can say that's a violent act, but it's the joy of love. I've yet to talk to a woman that went through pregnancy, and they complain about it, rightfully so. But women are strong. God made women that way. But after they hold that child, it's like the pain was worth it. Only women can understand that. I've had women say, yeah, but you know what? The pain was worth it, my child. The pain was worth it. But she
is being pregnant, and that is in part because of the sort of violence that pregnant people
I've got 53 seconds. Let me just say the
experience.
Dobbs decision was the greatest decision this Supreme Court has made. It's federalism versus states' rights. The untruths that y'all are putting out there.
Thank you. See, I'm sitting there calling out, and he just sitting there telling the untruths that they're putting out there, because these people are filled with demonic spirits, 100%, hands down.
The left is putting out about doing away with abortion. The states decided, and
they're banning
all this other things that you're putting out, state abortion restrictions would not allow a physician to care for a woman if it poses a serious threat to her life. Totally false. State abortion restrictions mean a woman with an ectopic pregnancy must choose between jail or death. That is totally absurd. And the Supreme Court got it right. I hope each state will ban abortions, infanticide, which the three of you are in agreement with. And
I object to that. I am not in agreement with infanticide.
And I object to the fact that you didn't answer. None of you answered the question.
The gentleman's time has expired.
None of them answered the question. You know why they didn't want to answer the question? Because they didn't want to have to be on record as saying, yes, we want to end the child at birth. We want to end the life of the child at birth. None of them want to go on record for it. None of them. And so, like I said, like I mentioned, Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats in the House, probably along with Liz Cheney and Adam Kissinger, voted for this nonsense. Listen to what Nancy Pelosi said after they put this demonic bill, after they passed this demonic bill in the House of Representatives today. Listen to this.
Make the essential protections of Roe the law of the land. Thank you to Congresswoman Judy Chu for leading us in passing this bill today for the second time this Congress. Our Assuring Women's Right to Reproductive Freedom Act will protect women who exercise their right to travel across state lines to get abortion care.
The Supreme Court's decision stripped away a constitutional right for millions of Americans in an instant.
That is a total lie. That is a total lie. Again, dishonest people. We're the fake fact checkers. Oh, the fake fact checkers only fact check the truth. When you put the truth out there, then they penalize you. But when they go in here and literally lie like this does not take away women's rights. And if you're in a state that doesn't want to be able to murder babies, you can always go to California or New York. Right? Even in New York, they were trying to pass a bill to where they could just bring in as many people as they want, and start murdering as much as they want. It's like, crank up that machine, crank it up. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. Listen to this other part here.
They've already openly discussed a national abortion ban. When asked about that pregnant 10-year-old, the anti-abortion lawyer said that this child would one day see the benefit of being forced to carry her rapist baby.
You know what? I've never heard anybody say that. If anything, there's been people that have been raped and their child grow up and they're thankful to the mother for not aborting them. If anyone is talking about it, they're talking about the life, right? The life. There's been plenty of people that have been, birth and grow up and become successful in whatever it is that they want to do that have as a result of rape. Life is a precious thing. Now, the act, what they don't want to address, the rape itself, which is a horrible thing, they don't want to address that for some reason. That they kind of like brush it aside. You know why they do that? Because they're demonic demons. It's like they're in support of the rape, right? And they're in support of killing the child after the rape. You understand that? That's exactly what demons do. And then they try to make it look like Republicans don't care about the woman that's raped or the child, which is not true at all.
Can you imagine? They think it's okay that the 10-year-old is raped as long as she produces a baby.
And they're okay with the child being raped as long as the child can abort the baby. Y'all see the difference? Y'all see the world we live in? You see how demonic they are? Give life a chance. Can we give life a chance? They don't want to give life a chance. They want to take the life of every single child that they can because they disregard life 100%. They disregard it. And then they try to bring up talking about, well, if you truly are pro-life, then you will want to disarm honest, law-abiding citizens so they can't have firearms to protect themselves. That's literally what they're saying, because law-abiding citizens are not out here doing these crimes. Again, they avoid and ignore the criminals in these heinous crimes, and they target law-abiding citizens. You know it's true. because that's who their target is. Law-abiding citizens. They want to remove every means. But they don't pay attention to the criminal. They don't want to pay attention to the rapist. They don't want to pay attention to the pedophile. They don't want to pay attention to these teachers sexualizing kids. They don't want to pay attention to these woke companies sexualizing kids. They don't want to pay attention to what Disney's doing. They don't want to pay attention to what these churches are not doing. They don't want to pay attention to these demonic people. They don't want to pay attention to the rapists on the border. They don't want to pay attention to the food crisis. They don't want to pay attention to the gas issue that they all created. They don't want to pay attention to it. Why? Because they are demonic. Demonic demons don't care about demonic stuff happening. They only care about when you do something right or when you speak out against it. Then all of a sudden they care. Then all of a sudden they want to say what you're saying is hateful. Then they want to say that you're being disruptive, that you're speaking violence. They say that when you say and speak the truth. This is the world we live in. Prophetic things are happening on the planet. Do you see them? Do you see it happening? And the most bizarre thing here is I'm sharing it all with you, but you don't need Will Johnson to show it to you. It's happening on a scale so big that people don't need anybody to tell them. They don't need someone to come along and tell them what is happening. You don't need it. It's happening. Look out the window. It's happening. And things are dramatically going to change. And it's not going to be pretty. And like I constantly say, I don't care to be right in it. I don't care to be right. But I have to share what I'm saying because I see the writing on the wall. I see the writing on the wall. It's time to give all that you have to God. We need to recognize that you and I, we are walking through the valley of death. And we have demons that are trying to attack us from every which way. These demons are trying to attack us every which way they can. You can't tell me that in a society where they give a man the woman of the war, the woman of the year award, and we're supposed to just be like, oh, this is wonderful. No, it's not. It's a lie from the pits of hell. And for Satan, and Satan is controlling these people, and these people are like, this is wonderful. Recognize what is happening. And I'm not saying that we need to go out and be violent. We don't need to do what the left is doing. Christ set the example for us. It's going to take more strength for us to do this, to walk and do the same thing that Christ did than it is to go out and be violent. It's real easy to go out and be violent. It takes more strength to do what Christ did. Am I wrong? You know, it's easy to lash out verbally or physically. It's easy to lash out. But it takes a lot of strength. I mean, extreme strength. But you know what? They call that, but man calls it weakness. Man calls it weakness. The only time people really want to call that strength is because Christ died for our sins. But then y'all call it strength. Christ set the example for us. And I plan on, to the best of my ability, I'm not perfect. Trust me, I'm not perfect. But I'm going to try to follow what our Lord Jesus did for us. He set the example. He straight up set the example. He set the example. All right, let me say thank you to a few people. All right. So let me say thank you to a few people, but at the same time, hey, look, I still need your help if you can. If God puts it on your heart, please support me. Only if God puts it on your heart. If you say, I like what this dude is doing, I'm going to support him. And I don't ever ask anyone for like a certain, I don't ever ask anybody, hey, can you support me with a certain amount? I don't ever do that. I have in the past saying, hey, when I would like go on a trip or something, I ask people to support me because I'm viewer and listener supported 100%. I am supported by you, the viewer. If you share my videos, I get support that way. If you donate to me, I get support that way. One time I was going on a trip, I asked everyone that was watching if you could support me with just $2, it would cover the trip. And people said, okay, I can do $2. But I understand we're in inflation right now, and it's hitting everybody across the board. It's hitting all of us across the board. And the stuff I have on my website, go to my website. I have stuff like if you go to preparewithuaf.com on my website, there's other things on my website that you can do. There's one particular thing on my website, and I call it, shopping off the grid. It's the last option on my website. Check it out. Get away from these elitists. There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. Frida, let me say thank you to Frida for the Venmo. Thank you so much for the blessing. And Donata, thank you so much for the PayPal. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Baby steps. You got to take baby steps, right? Thank you so much for the blessing. Tony, thank you so much as well, Tony. I really appreciate it. Mary, thank you so much, Mary. Thank you so much. Mary again. Oh, it's a different Mary. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Mary. JDWC003. Thank you, sir, for the super chat. Thank you so much. And Mike, thank you so much for the stars. Thank you so much, Mike. And thank you so much for the PayPal. Wow, thank you so much. Tony, thank you so much for the Cash App. I really appreciate it. And Michelle, thank you so much for the stars. Kathy, thank you for the stars. Karen, thank you as much. Thank you as well. Thank you so much. Michelle, thank you for the stars. Nick, thank you, Nick. And Patty, thank you so much, Patty. Joanne, thank you so much. Zay, oh, I like that. Zay, thank you so much. Rick, thank you as well for the stars. April, thank you for the stars. Robin, thank you for the stars. Laura, thank you so much for the stars. Selena, thank you as well. And Ann, thank you for the stars. Lorene, thank you for the stars. And Chuck, thank you for the stars as well. And Jesse, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Okay, I normally take calls on Friday night because it's Friday night, and I normally do, but you're gonna have to forgive me this Friday evening. I'm gonna have to cut this one a little short tonight because normally I end up going like 2 hours. But I want to say thank you again to everyone. Thank you so much for the blessings. If you can't do anything else, at least share the video. Please share the video. If you like any of the information that I relayed tonight, share the video. And if you're concerned about sharing it on the platform that you're on, copy the link and text it to someone that you know would agree with you. God bless. Good night.